I should have known something was off the moment she left for her so-called girls' trip. She had been unusually secretive the week leading up to it, checking her phone compulsively, brushing off questions with casual deflections, and insisting I was overthinking everything. I wanted to trust her, wanted to believe that a simple trip with friends could be innocent. But something inside me, a quiet, persistent instinct, refused to let go. The first red flag came when I went to tidy up the spare bedroom she had packed her suitcase in. The corner of a small black box peeked from the folds of her clothes. Curiosity, tinged with dread, pushed me to pull it out. Inside, neatly wrapped, were several rubbers. My stomach sank. I held them in my hand, feeling the weight of what they implied. I didn't immediately confront her. Instead, I stepped back, letting the silence of the room press against me, letting the realization settle in. When she called later, her voice bright and casual, I didn't respond immediately. She expected laughter or perhaps a playful tease about my paranoia, but I let the pause stretch, letting the tension rise naturally. "Hey, just checking in," she said. "Packing going okay?" Her tone was light, carefree. I waited, then spoke slowly, deliberately. "I found something in your suitcase." Her laugh came immediately, sharp, dismissive, like a shield. "Oh, come on," she said, almost singing. "You're dramatic. It's just a girls' trip. Stop overthinking everything." Her words were infuriating, but I didn't let the anger take over. I had learned by now that calm resolve was more powerful than outbursts. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just stayed quiet long enough for her to feel the weight of her own audacity. The next day, I decided to act strategically. I didn't confront her again directly. I let the situation unfold naturally while I gathered information, documenting patterns, tracking inconsistencies, and observing behaviors I had previously ignored. The casual joke, the laugh, the brush-off, these were all pieces of a puzzle I now intended to complete. She returned home days later, radiant and smug, expecting me to overlook the evidence, to accept her explanation, to laugh it off like she had planned. But I was ready. Calm, deliberate, and patient, I asked her to unpack her suitcase in front of me. She hesitated, puzzled, perhaps even a little nervous. She didn't understand that this wasn't about confrontation. It was about truth, accountability, and reclaiming control. As she pulled out clothes, accessories, and toiletries, I silently observed her reactions, noting the little pauses, the subtle tension in her gestures, the flashes of unease she thought she could hide. Then came the black box. I held it up, letting her see the unmistakable contents. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second, a flicker of panic replacing her usual bravado. It's nothing," she stammered, attempting a laugh. You're overreacting. It's just precaution, just in case." Her attempt to normalize it, to frame it as innocent, only confirmed the deception I had long suspected. I shook my head slowly, letting the silence speak louder than words ever could. Over the following days, I maintained calm, composed interactions while planning the next steps. I consulted a lawyer, documented everything meticulously, and began preparing for a separation that would leave no room for manipulation. She tried to charm me, to deflect, to make me feel guilty for doubting her. But each attempt only reinforced her recklessness and my clarity. The real revenge wasn't dramatic or loud. It was quiet, deliberate, and unavoidable. I allowed her to continue her life, unaware that every flirty text, every secret meeting, every attempt at manipulation had consequences she would have to face alone. I didn't need to confront her publicly. I didn't need to yell. I simply stayed resolute, calm, and firm, letting the weight of her actions settle naturally. When the separation and eventual divorce were finalized, she realized, too late, that her laughter, her casual dismissals, and her manipulation had no power over me. She had assumed I would be gullible, forgiving, or willing to overlook her behavior. Instead, I had observed, waited, and acted strategically. The trust she had shattered, the audacity of her deception, and the blatant disregard for the marriage she had promised to honor, these all became lessons she would never forget. Her laugh, "You're dramatic, it's just a girl's trip," echoed in my mind, but now it was ironic. I hadn't been dramatic. I had been patient, deliberate, and meticulous. I had turned her own recklessness against her, letting her experience the consequences without me lifting a finger. By the end, she had lost more than she imagined: trust, control, and the assumption that I could be manipulated. And I had reclaimed my peace, my dignity, and my life, proving that sometimes the most effective revenge isn't in the moment of discovery, but in the calm, calculated way you respond to betrayal.